The old woman across the field didn't have a face, just a smooth, porcelain expanse of skin stretched tight over bone. And she was waving at me. Nightbound Bloodline presents 3 Southern Gothic horror stories. Tonight's first account, The Porcelain Woman of Providence Crossroads. The American South is a land steeped in stories. The soil itself seems to remember, holding onto whispers of old grief and older sins. What you are about to hear is the first of 5 such whispers, sent to us by individuals who have walked to the edge of our understanding and looked into the dark. They have asked for their names to be changed, but the terror they describe remains, unaltered and utterly real. Listen closely. Story 1. My name is Eli. I was 34 years old when this happened, and I've been a long-haul trucker for over a decade. I'm not a fanciful man. My world is diesel, asphalt, and CB static. I don't believe in ghost stories. I believe in logbooks and deadlines. But what I saw in that fallow field outside Providence Crossroads, Mississippi, it rewrote my entire understanding of what's possible. It was late August, the kind of heat that lays on your chest like a wet blanket. I'd taken a back road detour to avoid a wreck on the interstate, my rig groaning as it navigated cracked tarmac canopied by weeping willow and Spanish moss. The light was failing, that long, liquid gold of a southern sunset, painting everything in a deceptive, beautiful glow. I was lost, my GPS a spinning circle of uselessness. Up ahead, I saw a crossroads, marked by a single, leaning wooden sign, its letters faded, Providence. And beside it, an old, abandoned plantation house, its columns like the ribs of a long-dead beast. That's when I saw her. Across a field of overgrown cotton, maybe 100 yards away, a figure stood on the porch of that ruin. A woman in a long, white dress. My first thought was relief, someone to ask for directions. I pulled the rig over, the air brakes hissing. I climbed out, raised a hand to shield my eyes from the sun's last glare. I called out, "Hello, ma'am?" She didn't respond, just stood there, perfectly still. And that's when the first chill went through me, a cold needle in all that heat. The air grew heavy. The crickets, they just stopped. All of them, like a switch had been flipped. The only sound was the tick-tick-tick of my engine cooling. I took a few steps closer, squinting. The dress wasn't just white. It was antique, like a wedding gown from a century ago. And her skin, it was wrong. It wasn't the color of skin. It was stark white, reflective, like polished china. Smooth, completely smooth. She had no eyes, no nose, no lips. Just this blank, oval surface where a face should have been. It wasn't a mask, it was her. The hair was styled, dark and elaborate, framing that horrible, featureless plate. She was tall, too tall for a woman, and her posture was stiff, unnatural. She looked like a doll a giant had left on the porch. And then she raised her arm. Slow, mechanical, like a clockwork arm. She began to wave. Not a friendly wave. It was a slow, deliberate side-to-side motion, a beckoning. My blood turned to ice water. I couldn't move. I just stared at that empty face, at that hand moving back and forth, back and forth. And then, her head tilted. Just a slight, bird-like angle. I heard a sound then, a sound that makes my stomach clench to this day. It was a faint, dry scraping, like porcelain rubbing against porcelain. It was coming from her, from where her mouth should have been. That broke the spell. I stumbled back, my boots catching on the kazoo. I scrambled into the cab, my hands shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the ignition. I didn't look back. I slammed the truck into gear and peeled out, gravel spraying. I risked one glance in my rearview mirror. She was still there on the porch, still waving. But she was turned now, facing the road, that smooth, blank face following my retreat. And I knew, with a certainty that sickened me, that she was smiling. I drove until I found a gas station with lights on, my heart trying to beat its way out of my chest. I couldn't speak to the clerk. I just bought a coffee and sat in my truck, shaking. I never went back to that road. I take a 50-mile detour now if my route even gets close. I've tried to rationalize it. A mannequin, a prank. But I know what I saw. I'm a trucker. I see things clearly. That was no mannequin. It was alive. It was aware. And it saw me. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I'll wake up and see that slow, waving motion in the dark of my bedroom. I don't believe in ghost stories, but I believe in her. A faceless woman on a forgotten porch, a wave that was anything but welcoming. Eli's story is a chilling reminder that some landmarks on our maps are not just places, but memories. Memories that can, at times, wake up and take notice of those who pass by. Have you ever traveled a southern back road and felt a sudden, inexplicable dread? Seen a figure in a place that should be empty? We want to hear your story. Share it in the comments below. If you found this tale unsettling, please like this video and subscribe to Nightbound Bloodline for more journeys into the unknown. This has been Nightbound Bloodline. Thank you for listening. Until next time, sleep with one eye open. The thing in the bayou didn't just swim. It pulled itself through the black water, its body a tangle of slick, dark roots and something that looked like meat. And it was between me and the shore. Story 2. The Rotting Heart of the Atchafalaya. There are places where the water is older than the land and holds secrets far darker. The bayous of Louisiana are such a place. This next account comes from a man who knew those waters better than most, until the day he learned he knew nothing at all. He sent us this letter, written in a hand that, he admits, still shakes when he remembers. I'm Jean-Luc Thibodeau. My family has trapped and fished the Atchafalaya Basin for 3 generations. I'm 58 years old, and before that night, I would have told you there wasn't a square inch of that swamp I didn't know, nor a creature in it that could surprise me. I was a fool. It was the off-season, late October. The air was cool, but the water was still warm, and a thick, pea soup fog had rolled in, swallowing the world in a wet, white silence. I was checking my lines deep in a secluded channel, a place we call Letang du Silence, the Silent Pond. My pirogue cut through the water without a sound. The only smell was the rich, familiar scent of decay and life all mixed together. Cypress, mud, blooming water hyacinth. It was my cathedral, until it became my tomb. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The frogs, they stopped. Not like when a gator slides in. That quick hush, and then they start up again. This was a dead, absolute quiet. Like the swamp itself was holding its breath. Then came the smell. It cut through the familiar rot, a new smell. Sweet, like spoiled meat left in the sun, mixed with the metallic tang of old blood. I gripped my paddle tighter, my knuckles white. Something was in the water with me. Ahead of me, the fog seemed to coalesce, to thicken. A shape broke the surface of the black water. It wasn't a gator. It wasn't a log. It was a mass of things. It looked like a nest of water moccasins all knotted together, but thicker and glistening with a foul, oily sheen. As it rose higher, I saw bits of what might have been fur and strips of pale, decomposing flesh tangled within the writhing, root-like tendrils. And in the center of it all was a hole, a gaping maw, lined with what looked like slivers of bone, all clicking softly together. It had no eyes I could see, but I felt its attention on me. A cold, mindless hunger. It began to move towards me, not swimming, but pulling itself along, the tendrils gripping the water, propelling it with a horrible, lurching speed. The clicking from its mouth grew louder, a dry, rattling sound. I backpaddled, my heart hammering against my ribs. The thing was between me and the way out. It bumped against the pirogue, not a hard impact, but a testing nudge. The boat listed violently. The smell was overwhelming now, filling my lungs, making my eyes water. One of those slick, dark tendrils, as thick as my wrist, slid over the gunnel, dripping that oily water. It felt like cold, wet leather. It began to coil, like a python seeking purchase. I did the only thing I could think of. I brought my paddle down on it with all my strength. There was a sickening crunch, like breaking a bundle of dry sticks, and a jet of black, foul-smelling fluid sprayed across my face. The tendril recoiled, and the whole mass let out a sound, a high, wet shriek that didn't seem possible. In that moment of shock, I paddled. I didn't look back. I paddled until my muscles screamed and I reached the solid ground. I never went back for my boat. I never went back to the basin. I sold my gear, my land, everything. The swamp I loved is now a place of nightmares for me. I know what I saw. It was the heart of the swamp itself, and it was rotting. A creature not of flesh and blood, but of decay and primordial hunger. Jean-Luc's encounter suggests that in the oldest, wettest parts of our world, things can grow in the dark that defy all our understanding of nature. Have you ever felt the gaze of something ancient and unknowable from the depths of a forest or a body of water? Tell us your story in the comments. If the darkness of the bayou has unsettled you, please show your support by liking and subscribing. This has been Nightbound Bloodline. Thank you for listening. Until next time, sleep with one eye open. My grandfather warned me never to answer the door after the third knock. But on the third night, I looked through the keyhole. A single, milky eye, wide with desperation, was staring back. Story 3. The 3 Knocks on Redwood Lane. In the South, we respect our elders and their warnings. They are the keepers of a wisdom born from generations of living on land that has seen its share of joy and sorrow. The following account, sent to us by a young woman named Clara, is a stark lesson in what happens when those warnings are ignored. My name is Clara. I was 22, fresh out of college, and I thought I knew everything. I'd moved into my great-aunt's South old place on Redwood Lane to save money while I looked for a job. It's a proud old house, all gingerbread trim and wraparound porches. My pappy, he helped build it. The day I got the keys, he took my hand, his own gnarled and strong, and said, "Clarabelle, this house will keep you safe. But you listen now. You hear 3 knocks on the door after dark, you don't answer. You don't even go near it. No matter what." I smiled, I kissed his cheek, and I thought it was just the rambling of a superstitious old man. The first week was peaceful. I loved the sounds the old house made, the settling sighs, the creak of floorboards like old bones stretching. I'd sit on the porch swing at night, drinking sweet tea and listening to the cicadas. It was the picture of Southern tranquility. Then, on a Tuesday, the knocks started. It was just past 10. 3 heavy, deliberate knocks. Boom, boom, boom. They shook the front door in its frame. My heart jumped. I wasn't expecting anyone. I crept to the door, my feet silent on the Persian rug, and peered through the peephole. The porch was empty. The swing was still. The street was quiet. A prank, I thought. Kids. But the air in the hallway had gone cold. A deep, damp chill that seeped right through my nightgown. The next night, it happened again. The same time. Boom, boom, boom. Louder this time, more insistent. I was angry now. I marched to the door, ready to yell at some teenager. I didn't open it, but I pressed my eye to the keyhole, and I saw it. The porch light was on, casting a jaundiced glow, and on the other side of that tiny brass hole was another eye. It was large, the iris a pale, milky blue, swimming in a sea of broken blood vessels. It was pressed right up against the other side, unblinking. It wasn't looking around. It was looking at me. I stumbled back, a scream caught in my throat. The knocks came a third time. Boom, boom, boom. They weren't knocks anymore. They were impacts, like someone was hitting the door with a sledgehammer. The wood splintered around the deadbolt. From the other side, I heard a voice. It was a dry, rasping whisper, like leaves skittering across pavement. "Let me in," it pleaded. "I'm so cold." But the voice was wrong. It was layered, like 2 people speaking at once, one of them a child, the other something ancient. I backed into the parlor, my entire body trembling. I could hear a slow, dragging sound on the porch now. Thump drag, circling the house. Then, the sound stopped right outside the bay window. The lace curtains hid the view, but I saw its shadow. It fell across the fabric, tall and grotesquely thin, with a head that lolled to one side. It just stood there, casting that long, twisted shadow into my home. I don't know how long I sat huddled on the floor. The sun finally rose, and the shadow was gone. I called my pappy, sobbing. He was there in 20 minutes. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just walked the perimeter, his face grim. He pointed to the soft dirt beneath the bay window. There were no footprints, just a single, deep gouge in the earth, as if a heavy post had been dragged away. I moved out that afternoon. I live in a sterile apartment complex now, with a steel door and no porch. I don't drink sweet tea anymore. The sound of it swirling in a glass, it sounds too much like that rasping voice. Pappy says it was a haint, something that died waiting for a loved one who never came home. It's still waiting. And sometimes, I think it's still waiting for me. A warning ignored. A shadow on the curtain. Clara's story is a testament to the old Southern belief that some houses don't just hold memories, they hold occupants. And that the most dangerous visitors are often the ones who don't need an invitation. Have you ever inherited a family warning that later proved terrifyingly true? Share your legacy of fear in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. This has been Nightbound Bloodline. Thank you for listening. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.